Good afternoon. Welcome back. It seems like forever, right?
Well, we suppose we didn't meet so often. Right.
Anyway, this meeting is called to order. Claire, what time is it? 5:01. 5:01.
That's pretty close. Cause that's what government work.
All right. Moment of silence followed by the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Claire, we're now open for public comment. If you want to read your statement.
Alright. Public comment periods will be held at the beginning of the scheduled meeting and limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each person desiring to speak shall clearly state their name and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make his or her remark. The speaker may not speak more than once during the same public comment period, and unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals who expect to have the same or similar comments are encouraged to select a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. The board should refrain from engaging in a dialogue except to the extent necessary to clarify the speaker's position. The board shall not entertain questions from the audience, and discussions between speakers and members of the audience shall be prohibited. Speakers shall maintain proper decorum and shall not make their comments in a civil manner. Personal attacks and use of obscene and profane language are prohibited. Speaker comments should be limited to subjects that are within the board's jurisdiction. Action on items brought up during the public comment period will be at the discretion of the board.
Okay.
Good evening, or anyway, here we go. Good afternoon, Board, and Claire and Shannon. I'd like to discuss the new proposed temporary rules for contesting elections. It gives me pause in terms of making sure that you all have enough people hired, because it's asking for that any protests that the county boards of elections hold a meeting within 2 business days, and it goes on to have required county boards to schedule the first recount within 3 business days. All I'm saying is that you've done a great job in the past. With the current staffing situation, it gives me pause when we have to do things a little bit quicker this time, so that the state can certify the election by, I believe, December the 2nd was the date that the state has to certify it. That may not be right, but I'm just saying as a citizen, these new temporary rules, which are fine to have, it just, I hope we can find somebody. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, Dan Hoskins. As I mentioned at the last meeting, I just would ask that you please put it on the agenda to discuss the different sizes of the precincts and how that might be addressed. I know it won't be able to be something that we can do before November, but I guess from what I understand, it was last discussed in January 23 and set aside. And so here we are facing one of the biggest elections with it not addressed yet. Back in January, I don't have the latest statistics, but barbecue was at over 15,000, and Central Harnett and East Abersboro, Stewart's Creek are all around 3,000. That's a huge disparity. And as an Anderson Creek voter, I saw people waiting in line an hour to vote. And I know it's, I think, even worse at Western Harnett on election day. So I do hope that you'll put that as a priority to address.
Any other comments? Okay,
a copy of the minutes from June 4th. This is the same that was emailed. If you need a minute to review them, you may do so now. Once you're happy and satisfied with the minutes, the motion to approve would be in order.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is the copy to be signed.
Okay, Claire, we're now on business, the budget.
So before we jump into the budget, I just wanted to point out that everybody does have the new version of the law book. It comes with a caveat this time. So the state board does not print out new law books every year or every 2 years when new board members are appointed. And with budget cuts, they have requested that when board members are not reappointed, that they return their books or they pay $10 for them. So, you can tag it up with sticky notes, but I wouldn't write in it unless you want to purchase books.
Well, that's cheaper than buying it.
So, there's your caveat, but yes, everybody has new books. All right, so moving forward to the budget, just to let everybody know that the budget, the fiscal year 2024-25 budget was approved. The mostly good news with Board of Elections is our budget stayed primarily intact. A lot of what we put in there was not cut except for the election worker increase. So our poll worker appreciation is still in there. The reclassifications for the election specialist and election technician are still in there. The only thing that was cut was the increase to the election workers. Everything else, as far as like our advertising, all of our open budget lines was not touched during some of those cuts. So, just want to make sure that everybody was aware of that, that we will still be able to conduct business as we planned. The only issue is we will not be able to give election workers that increase during the general election.
Did they say why?
Because of the school board education, they were missing, I think they had a $5 million deficit that they were having to make up for. So a lot of departments had to take a lot of cuts. So in comparison to some other departments, I don't think we were hit as hard as they were, so I'm appreciative of that. But a lot of departments had new position requests that have been delayed out 6 months or cut out completely. So that was the only thing that was cut from our budget.
So basically, the reclassification, we lost that fifth person, that's about what it traded out.
No. So the reclassification was just given that increase to the technician and the specialist, bumping them up a salary grade. So they did receive those in the budget.
Right.
It's
So
just
we
for the
lost that other
election
position, and
workers.
it said it was only 26,000, that's what was budgeted for that?
No, we didn't lose a position. We lost the 26 was for the poll worker increase. So we had moved, the
Okay.
board had moved to an increase, I think it was $12.50.
Yeah.
So that was cut from the budget. So the election workers, their pay rate will be the same as it was during the primary.
Okay, I just saw in the paper it said election worker, and I thought it was that other position.
Yeah, no, it wasn't on any of our
Oh,
full-time
all right.
positions, it was just for the election workers.
And that was, what is that, 10? Or just
No.
the workers?
So I don't have the, well, I can pull up the pay scale, but it's the same as what it was, there's no increase. Yeah, there's no increase at all for them. there any other questions about that? The only
Well,
other.
there's plenty, but,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's something we can address in the future, hopefully maybe the next fiscal year, once they do figure out what's up with the education funding, algorithm that they have to determine how much funding the state gives the schools, that hopefully maybe next year, or the year after, we'll be in a better position to do that. Anything else about question?
Not about the budget.
And then the only other thing I wanted to just let you guys be aware of is we did complete compiling some questions for a survey for our election workers. And that survey will go out hopefully this week. Basically just ask them, about the primary election, how was the work, how was the training, did they have any suggestions? We've also added a question about, if there was an interest in, partial days. I know, I'm guessing you brought that up. Hopefully that can recruit some more people. Of course, everybody can't work partial days, but at least to see what interest is out there. So at our August meeting, I'll be able to update you on the results of that survey and kind of gauge where our workers are, where they're feeling about it.
Did you ask questions about the training?
Yes, about the training, the handouts, the type of training, the hands-on, I think we had one about, I don't remember all the questions. But there were several questions about training, as well as working the day, about their chief judge, about co-workers. So there was a lot of aspects we covered with the questions. And of course, once we get it all set, I can send you guys the link to that way you can also look at it.
so are you gonna update us on the personnel under closed session or now?
Closed session, and then we'll discuss personnel.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
know that, but I'm curious to find out
Mhm.
about the interview.
Yeah.
I have some comments before we move to closed session.
That's fine. I was gonna say, that's all the business I have, so we're open to anything else that you guys want to discuss.
I know we had the public comment period from June the 18th to July the 11th on the proposed temporary election protest and recount rules. And I believe it's Monday, to my recollection, we're having an in-person meeting in Raleigh. And I've thought about it. We haven't had a chance for any input from anybody on the board. I know what my views are on it, but I'd like to know if anybody has any comments, if they'd like me to deliver them, or somebody coming up with me on Monday, that would be fine too. I think that it's important that they understand what circumstances we're under, and what pressure we're under, and I want to emphatically mention that in person. So I'd like to know if anybody has any thoughts on that.
What are your thoughts, and what time? That's when I have most of my meetings.
I think it's Monday, but I think it's at 10 o'clock, something like that, 10 to 12. But I would have to double check that. And my thoughts are pretty much echoing what Rebecca said. We're under tough times to keep people here, and to man these things. It's pretty well, respectful. They're setting the standards for what we have to do, but it's easy to say we have to do that. It's much harder for us to do it, and letting them know that, and cutting our time periods down is really almost unrealistic. I'm just I haven't formulated all my thoughts yet, but it'll be along those lines.
Are they going to allow you to offer any suggestions, or is that you just go and you listen and they tell you what?
Well, my plan is to have some written documents to give to them, in addition to having the time to speak if I'm allowed to.
You can also make a comment online, just for any vote.
Right.
Person want to make a comment online.
Yeah, that's been available for that full-time period.
Right.
I will add, just let everybody know that, you know, traditionally what we do is when we do a protest, we try to hear it as early as possible anyway. Just because the fact that we want to get as much done before the state does benefits. So they're discussing putting an actual timeline shortening that period. I will say that we usually try to get it done as soon as we possibly can anyway, just to keep from delaying it out.
So historically, we've been doing a good job.
Yes. Yeah. And it's nice because we have, you know, the county attorney that assists us with those, and he knows very much what we have going on. It can usually jump on things rather quickly.
All right.
So that's not typically been an issue that we've had. Of course, anybody, all of you are free to express your opinion of this, you know, as you see fit, but it's not typically been an issue in Harmon County because we're able to get things done fast. Now, if we were a big county like Mecklenburg or something, it may take them a little bit longer, but for us, it's not an issue.
Well, I would think they have a chance to get more workers too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bigger staff.
What the thing is, what might not have been, could be. And if you don't speak now, what's the same forever hold your peace?
Right.
I mean, traditionally, because this is, this election coming up is gonna be huge.
Yeah.
So
We'll
they
have to bring
really,
our cots here, I guess.
they really want to know what we think.
Well, we want to tell
They want
them.
us- And they're not just gonna feed us or feed information, but that's, this is what the rules are gonna be, are they gonna present exactly what you think, or we have any input on what they're gonna do with it.
So does anyone want to offer any feedback? Or, I think it's, we don't know your canvas yet, because you're still compiling it, and it's Monday, but, how soon can you get it to Claire and send to us?
Well, wait a second. I missed the first part of
I
what you
said-
said.
I asked that anyone have any feedback for you or input, but then it's probably difficult because we don't know your canvas, what you're gonna say, or
Well,
we haven't put it together.
whatever you guys say, I'll incorporate what I'm going to say. So the ball is in your court. Let me know what you want to be said. And I'll formulate my position by the time I get there.
If I make any comments, I'll just do it online,
Okay?
on my own. And I think that, any comments that you make would also be like,
On my own.
on your own.
Oh, no doubt. I won't speak for the board.
All right, anything else?
Yes?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, this is a great subject.
Were you finished? Okay. Claire, on the upcoming conference, are we supposed to check in on Sunday and go through Tuesday? Is that right? Okay, are you gonna make sure we're checked in when we get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll be there, that Sunday, get checked in. If for whatever reason we missed it Sunday, you can still check in, Monday morning, but my plan is to do everything Sunday night and have it all done.
And on August the 13th, you're gonna have to send out notice that we changed meeting dates. Okay.
To Turkey?
Minnesota.
Oh.
It's travel and time, right?
She's going where it's cool, isn't it?
I talked to her today, and she said it was 60 degrees when we were talking, so. She's in for a rude awakening when she gets back in the middle of August.
Yeah, right.
Another issue that I'd like to have a little discussion on is during this last month or so period, there have been a couple of complaints that have been filed with the State Board of Elections regarding absentee ballot mishandling or miscounting or whatever. And it pretty much, complaint one was fairly large. It included Arnett County from 2020 to current. And then there was a second complaint that amended the first complaint and reduced our alleged shortcomings down to 4. When the first allegation, I was concerned about what our response might be and possibly thinking about having an internal audit to rebut that. But I haven't heard anything from the state board yet, unless someone else has on that issue. I assume that at some point they're going to have a hearing. Since we're now reduced to 4, I'm still just tracking it. I'm concerned with the public's perception when complaints are lodged. And if we don't have a response, or we just have a state board response, that takes away from our credibility, I believe. I think we have to have a firm position that we did not do these things, however, whatever the allegations are. But right now, it's still just in limbo. Those are my thoughts on it. If anybody has anything to add, let me know.
Are you referring to the, go ahead.
I was gonna, if we were to be drawn into this and summoned anyway, who would represent us? Would it be the legal at the state or would the county?
You're the county attorney.
The county attorney would represent this board?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But at this time, there's no action required, because again, the complaint went to the state board, and they're gonna look into it, but I think a lot of it has to deal with the way the courts are run, nothing that we or any county is mishandled.
Right, that's my,
The only thing I would suggest is, since it's going to the state, and the state's going to hear it or not hear it and render a reply, I would strongly suggest this board stay with the state board's reply, because their reply is drafted by a legal department as opposed to
I was gonna-
just us
That was gonna be my next,
saying
next question. That
Yeah.
now, the local media, you know, they wanna call and say, what do you think of this? What, and so,
No,
I agree with
it's-
that. They want to
speak
speak
with our
up.
council.
Yes.
That's right, refer to that, so.
So this is the email you sent us about 10 days
Is
ago.
that the Hava
About
complaint?
Yeah.
complaints. We had 53 or something.
Yeah.
Initially,
Initially.
complaint 1, but it's been reduced to 4 after they amended the second complaint.
And like I said, without knowing all the details as far as which things that they're looking at, it could be a number of different things. I mean, some people can request a ballot and then say because of medical illness, they can extend it another year. UOCAVA can extend it, well, the medical one can extend it for that calendar year. UOCAVA can extend it for another year, for a second year. So there's a lot of different little caveats to absentee taxes and requests. And without actually seeing all the data, I can't say what exactly they're looking at or not looking at. So again, it's gone to the state. I will let the state, handle that. And then if they ask for anything from us, then we can certainly supply that.
It seems to me in the past that the state reacted pretty quickly, and I would expect something soon, because it's been about a month, hasn't it? 8 weeks to a month.
Probably.
Yeah.
If it shows up in the local media and things, what are you gonna do with that, that kind of thing? You're starting out with a 53, never mind, you may not get the 4, somebody may not put that in there.
Right.
You got the allegations.
Yeah.
But we can't respond unless we have something to respond to.
Correct. And of course, we haven't heard from them whether they're having a hearing or scheduling a hearing or what they're doing with it, so. Maybe they'll mention something when.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I got something else. Shouldn't leave me alone so long. Sorry. I found this article in June the 7th, 2024. It's an Inside Politics article by Steve Harrison, WFAE. And he points out the surge in voter registrations in North Carolina and several other issues of import. If anybody would like to see it, I'd like to share it with you. That's all.
And we typically do have a surge before general elections. We have a lot of third-party
Yeah,
groups
this
who
year.
do drives and things.
Presidential, always bring out,
Yeah.
extra votes,
Brings them.
which is good, just basically.
All right. If you're done,
Rest of my time to, metaphor like that. You're
So there is a need to go into closed session, per GS 143-318.11 subsection 6.
I'll make a motion that I'm at the record that we go to closed session.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So 5:27, we are in closed session.
a member.
Alright, so we are back in open session at 6:15. Is there any other business?
Did you want to tell us about the integrity software?
So yes, me and Shannon did meet virtually with Integra. They have, software that you can use for managing coworkers, organizing training materials and things of that nature. Basically, what you're purchasing is their file storage. And I have the agreement here, if you wanna look at it. There's a lot of stuff in here that me and Jen feel like we could do on a level of free, because we have some of the things that we didn't have in the past as far as Microsoft Teams, SharePoint. We have the Greer Group now that's handling the election workers. So there's a lot of things I think we're already doing. I don't know that it offsets the cost of Integra, but just for your knowledge, the pricing for their software for the first year is $14,450. And so that does include a one-time setup fee, so year 2 would be $13,100, year 3 is $13,700, so it goes up from year to year.
What's the term of the
So,
contract?
well, what they have right here is a 3-year contract.
So you get, when it goes up, or is that paying for upgrades, changes to?
Upgrades and stuff are included in it. So if they do have an upgrade, they'll automatically put it in through for us. But
So
I
release
feel
it.
like the cost, I think we can do a lot of this in-house like we've been doing with the added tools that we have, that we wouldn't just spend that kind of money for this software.
Have you been able to repeat, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask, so are we buying the software, the
No.
license, or we're releasing it?
You're leasing.
Okay.
Have you been able to see a sample of anything, or it's just,
So we've seen samples, and at the conference, you'll probably see they'll be at the vendor, the thing, again, so you can see what they have in their little program. And it's really nice, but basically, they give you the software, they set it up, and then you have to manually keep it up, edit it. They store the files on their cloud, GovCloud thing. But I just feel like we have a lot of tools now that we didn't have a few years ago that we can do a lot of this in-house.
is it our state law specific?
For the software,
Training?
yeah.
I mean, it's relative to this.
Well, no,
Yeah.
she would upload her own training. It just gives you the platform that
To
like
use.
people can look at it. And it also gives you a platform where you can like see what precinct people live in. It gives you like information about what training they've been through or what elections they've worked at,
It's
so.
just like a tracking.
Yeah, it's
Tracking
not
software.
law because she uploads whatever.
Yeah. But they do work with a couple other counties, so they are aware of election laws and rules and things of that nature. I just feel like that cost is a little excessive for,
Are there modems are there applications at the end that allow for quizzes, examinations for the people who are taking the training?
yes, you can do that in the software, but now that we have access to surveying, we can do that ourselves as well.
And you say we have a copy of the contract?
I have this here, so I can.
Can we see it? I'd like a
Yeah.
copy.
I just feel like,
And I agree with you with that price,
Yeah.
by the way.
yeah, I think a lot of this we can do in-house, especially once we get fully staffed, that I think that cost is gonna be a little excessive.
Yeah.
But Ken, if Eric looks at that, I know there's copyright laws and everything, but Eric should be able to pull us something together, like you're saying. I mean, he can,
Yeah.
something that would work without.
Yeah, that's what he does.
15
years.
Well, this might not be the platform for us, but remember, every time you say county, you go to someone else. You're in you too.
Yeah.
Okay?
let's have a
Keep
building
making
fund.
it work, making it work.
A building fund.
Yeah, there you go.
Churches have them, let's do it, let's do it. Pass the hat.
We're not making it work anymore.
Oh, good.
That's just not for us.
Okay, all right,
I'm not spending it.
okay,
No.
good.
With that, does anybody have any other business to discuss?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
All right.
We are adjourned at
Okay.
6:00.